Knock,
Not
knock.
really.
Hang on.
Who's there?
The interrupting cow.
The interrupting cow.
Moo!
No. That must be a Mason joke.
Nah,
No.
that's a Bella joke.
No, Bella joke.
That's a
Okay. All right.
All right, so my name's Daisy Bazo. I'm here today with Brenda Brennan, who is a PRT specialist. And I think a lot of people out there kind of maybe haven't heard about PRT and they'd like to know what it is. So first off, with all the acronyms in the world, what does PRT stand for?
It's for Pivotal Response Training is what it is based on. That's the name, PRT.
Okay, and I think a lot of people, when they hear PRT, they maybe think pivotal response therapy, but you're
Right.
saying that it's a training. So how is, maybe looking at some of the other therapies, like how is PRT different from, say, ABA, or is it kind of the same? I mean, you called it training rather than therapy.
Well, PRT is based on the theories of applied behavioral analysis, but it's different in a lot of ways because it's done in the natural environment instead of the clinical environment. So it's done in the home or in the school or in an area that aids the child to learn that environment.
Okay.
Because we kind of support that learning process.
Right. And as a training as opposed to a therapy, I know I've been in some therapist's office and you take your child in and you sit and you wait and you hope that everything's going fine back there. You some days have them come out happy, some days sad. As a training process as opposed to a therapy, how does that look differently? I mean, are the parents more engaged?
Oh, the parents must be involved.
Okay.
I mean, that is part of my program.
Right. All right. So as a training as opposed to a therapy, how does that look different? You're not just involving the child in 1 hour per week. How are you bringing the parents in specifically so that you can include that training or those therapies throughout their entire life, throughout their entire day?
Well, I do a 2-hour minimum session at a time, and that's because during 2 hours I can gain compliance no matter what I ask the child to do. And that's key importance to the training, is that you achieve compliance at the end, whatever you've asked them to do. So you have to be careful
Okay.
what you're asking them to do, that you can achieve that in that amount of time. The parents are asked to either sit at the table in the beginning and to observe and maybe to help out in different centers when I'm asking questions. If a child doesn't know the answer, I may rely on the parent's memory to say, what did you do? Tell me something exciting today.
Okay.
And so the parent is able to prompt the child into giving me an answer, even if it's only one-word answer.
So what I heard from that is that the actual goal of each session is to just accomplish what you've asked them. Now that would be different for each child,
Absolutely.
of course.
Depending on the level of the child. I mean, absolutely, and the age of the child.
Okay, so is what you're actually teaching them how to reach a goal? Like, are you actually teaching them how to say, I need to accomplish this, now let's figure out a way to accomplish that? I mean, because that kind of sounds like a life skill that we kind of all need to know. But is that what you're actually teaching them?
Well, sure. I ask the parents before we meet, or we have the first session, to fill out what I call a wish list on what they would like to see happen. And we can focus and begin anywhere. And so it's easier for me to begin where it helps the parent and achieve something that makes the life of the child and the family easier.
Obviously. I mean, if you have a child who can't listen at all, just getting them to listen in order to learn would, I guess, be the first step.
Oh, absolutely. Sitting in a chair. That's if the parent doesn't have a particular place, it's always sitting in a chair, because generally they do not sit very well. And
Right.
I teach them. My children sit for up to 2 hours, the entire 2 hours within 1 or 2 sessions. And they're learning. I incorporate reading, letters, numbers, and big from little, so many different avenues of things for them to learn. You're picking up multi-clues.
So you're really taking each individual child's life and whatever challenges they have and incorporating it into this therapy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's wonderful. So when should PRT be used? I mean, should everybody use it, or I mean, who needs PRT?
Well, it's basically designed for the autistic child, but I have had many parents tell me through the years that it's the one therapy that they've had that they could use across the board with all their children, that they didn't have to use different words or do different procedures, that it actually worked for everybody. So it made it easier for them to become a pivotal parent.
So it really does seem like you're involving really the entire family.
Exactly.
Not just the child. It's not like this is a specific task for this child to complete, but really involving the entire family into almost a lifestyle.
Well, sure. They have, one thing about autism that I've learned is that you have to entice the child into a relationship. You have to woo them, as, Henry Greenspan used to say, that you have to woo them into a relationship and to want to engage.
Absolutely.
And that's pretty much what Pivotal has taught me and what I try to teach others to do.
Right. So I guess coming into this from the beginning as a beginner, how would I know that pivotal response training is what's needed? I mean, there's starting out as a new autism parent, there's so many ways to go. Do I need OT? Do I need PT? What do I need? How do I know that pivotal response training is right for my child?
Well, I don't think it's in replace of those things. I think it aids by having occupational therapy, speech therapy, and having the pivotal to support all these other things makes everything stronger. All the therapists, once they've started with pivotal, the child will generally say they've seen a remarkable change in the response of the child in speech therapy, in OT. So it is kind of an aid to just other facets of life.
That would be amazing.
Well, yeah, and it is. And if you work it, and how you can know is like I tell people all the time, just start using a few pivotal words. See if your child responds by using those words.
What would an example of a pivotal word be?
Brenda's most famous pivotal word, excuse me, to gain attention. Because in the natural environment, if someone doesn't know your name, they're going to say, excuse me. And so I use it, and I teach children with that word that there's different postures of ways of saying things that mean different things.
Okay.
So they're learning more than one thing, which is what Pivotal's all about, is creating that parallel of learning.
Okay.
And so by using excuse me, I'm doing a natural world where they'll be able to do it and not respond. Plus I say, excuse me, I use a deeper tone when I'm redirecting, and they begin to realize this is different. There are different ways of saying this one word.
So they start to recognize maybe some of the things that they don't, I mean, a lot of people just naturally pick up someone is angry or someone is happy.
Exactly.
And so as you're going through this training, you're also training them to recognize emotional responses or recognize tones of voices.
Exactly.
That's really interesting.
It's exactly what you do, and that's a pivotal response. Is when you're teaching more than one thing at one time. Not just one, like red is red. You're teaching color instead of just one particular.
Right.
Yeah.
This is absolutely fascinating. Thank you so much for talking to me about it. Do you think that we could get together and hear more about this? Because I'd really like to do that.
Absolutely.
Okay. And what would you like to leave everyone with? Just one single thought about pivotal response training.
Well, I'd like them to know that you can change a child's world. We have to change the way we respond to them. It's not a matter of changing the autistic child, because that's not really going to happen. They're going to be autistic. We have to change our approach, and we need to use key and pivotal words and be always consistent, where the child can predict at least our behavior, even if we can't predict theirs necessarily. So that would be it.
That's awesome. Thank you.